In life, we're constantly making choices, and the choices we make may linger for a lifetime. Truth is, for some of us, these choices were not made by us, they were already made for us. This is a place of peace and healing through talk. My name is Maria Chike Benjamin, and I am your host. Our guest was a victim of rape, but when she looks at herself in the mirror, she sees a survivor. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Iyinoluwa. Thank you so much, beautiful, for coming on this show. It's such an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. So good to be here. Thank you for the privilege.
Great, you're welcome. We would love to hear your story.
Okay, so it was in the year 2013. I was an 100-level student in the University of Benin. I was studying French, and I remember that year I had just clocked 18 in June 3rd of that year. And so strike started. I was kind of happy because my dad was going to turn 60.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yes. And so I was happy that I would get to celebrate because my parents lived in Lagos at the time.
Okay.
So I came back home and I was in the choir, you know. So July 19, 2013, it was a Friday.
Okay.
I went for choir rehearsal. Sunday 21st was going to be my daddy's 60th.
Wow, okay.
So I went for choir rehearsal in Yaba. My parents lived in Ikorodu. In fact, they had just moved to Ikorodu earlier in the year, so it wasn't too long.
Okay.
I went for choir rehearsal in Yaba, and on my way back, I was...
Take your time, take your time.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. On my way back, I left Yaba with my sister and my friend. You know, we're planning to have like a little party for my dad for his 60th. So we left for Ikorodu at about 5:30, you know. And maybe we kind of underestimated the traffic situation.
Okay.
And we spent hours on the road. There was so much traffic. I remember that time, I think the road was under construction, so it was even worse.
Okay.
So we got to my junction at about 11 p.m. That was how serious it was. And from my junction, like, we still needed another means of transport to get home, and it was 3 of us. So we were looking for like a bike, 2 bikes to take us home. We couldn't get, nobody was willing to go our way. Okay. When we finally found somebody, you know what, my friend is like, it was pretty late. So she's like, I'm not going to leave you here. I'm like, you came to see us, so you understand?
Yeah.
So I'm more conversant, even though
I'm
not so conversant, I'm more conversant with this area. And so the bike man just decided that I'm going to help. And he says, let me take 2 people home and I will come back
for the last person. Okay. Because your sister, your friend, yourself.
Exactly, because all 3 of us couldn't get on the bike.
Okay.
And it sounded like a good idea, right? So I'm going to take 2 people first. Of course, I said my friend and my sister, my younger sister, should go first. And he took them home. I remember that night, it's just like very clear. There was a woman selling moi moi and bread around, and I just sat down there, waiting for the bike man to come back. You know, and he came back. I was happy to see you get like you had dropped my sister and my friend. And so I said bye-bye to the woman. I got on the journey. And along the way, I knew one
road to home.
Yeah, exactly.
What time was this roughly?
It must have been past 12 already. It was really...
Midnight?
Yes.
Okay.
So on our way, like, it swept from the road.
Actual road back home.
And I'm like, why? like, why is, and it says the security men were harassing him because of the time of the night.
Yeah.
You know, and then he goes, I already took the others home.
You're already comfortable because he already took them home.
My dad had been calling, my parents had been calling.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so he says, like, just relax, I'm taking you home. I already dropped the others. You know, and we kept going. It had rained earlier that day, so the road was really muddy and messed up. And then we got to this very, very muddy road, and the bike just stopped.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. At that point, I was already kind of scared. You know, I could already sense it.
Yeah.
And then I just got off the bike, like, I started walking forward. Since they said that was the direction to our house, I just started walking forward.
Yeah.
And then he's checking his bike, and he's like, bring your phone for me to look at this bike. Okay. So it's like the bike is having some kind of issues.
Yeah.
You know, so
bring your phone, let me with your light.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then,
of course, you had to go back.
It was even dark in front. There was nothing.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. I just took my phone back, and I put on my torchlights for him, and it was like looking at the bike.
Right.
But from nowhere, like, this guy just pounced on me, and I just screamed, Jesus, you know. And
were you struggling with him?
That was the beginning of the struggle. Okay. And he started dragging me to the side of the road.
Okay.
I tried to kick him off me, and I tried to, like, he pulled me back by my hair. And you know that place was very muddy.
Muddy.
So I couldn't even run fast. Okay. So that was how he pulled me back by my hair. You know, I tried to kick. You know when they say, when somebody's trying to be funny, try to kick at their genitals, I tried to do that, and he squeezed my breast. Like, I tried to bite him, he beat me back.
Oh, God, okay.
I remember that mark was on my hand for a very long. I tried to bite, he beat me back. So, like, every girl, you know, looks forward to being 18.
Of course.
Because you are getting closer to your dream man, you know, and all of that, getting married. So I was not going to give up without a fight, like a bike man from where, you know. So it was like, I'm going to struggle to the end. And you're like expecting him to get tired. Course. But this guy was just, at the point, it's like, if you don't open up, I'll kill you, you know. And I think it was the point where he just put his hand over my mouth. And I couldn't breathe. There was no air, you know. One hand on my neck, on my nose and mouth. And I felt like life was seeping away at that time.
Because you're tired of struggling. Like,
exactly.
Your energy's gone.
I couldn't breathe, you know. And I think I just thought of my dad and my mom. My dad was turning 60. I think the thought of them again helped at that point.
Okay.
But then that was when I couldn't fight again, I was weak.
Of course.
And that was when he tore at my clothes and raped me. And when it was done, he got up, like, my neck was just stiff. My tongue was like almost hanging out of my mouth. And in fact, just got up. I was not moving. Okay. And he's like, I've killed somebody's child. I've killed somebody's child. And then my phone was ringing somewhere. Of course, my dad had been calling. Yeah. And he went to bring my phone, and he's like, talk to your daddy, talk to your daddy.
Wow, the audacity.
I think that was the time. I think to try to get some kind of response from me.
You, to make sure you're not dead.
And I'm like, just leave me and go. You know, just leave me and go. And at that time, he just put my phone in his pocket, went to his bike. There was nothing wrong with that bike.
It
was just like a well-scripted plan.
Yeah.
So he mounted his bike and drove off and left me in that mud. I was covered in mud and in blood, bleeding like under also. The first thought on my mind at the time was like, God, if you are real, you should have taken my life.
No.
You know, that was, I'm just saying,
of course.
At that time, because like a million thoughts just raced through my mind.
Why
would I, like, what do I have to live for again? You know, then that was like shattered dreams, you know. STDs, pregnancy, you don't even know
Yeah.
HIV at that time. And then I thought of my parents again. By God's strength and grace, I just managed to get up from there and start limping out of that place.
Good.
I looked like a mad person.
You're literally so strong, like so strong.
And so when I just kept walking down that road, and I got to the first house I could find. I knocked. So a man came out and he's like, just go away, just go away. I tried to explain because of the way I looked.
Yeah.
I looked like I could just fall down there
And die.
And nobody, this is Lagos, nobody wants
To take responsibility
You get.
of something that they don't know.
So it's like, just go away, and I'm like, I just need to call my dad. Though it was difficult for me to speak properly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just need to call my dad. I've just been raped. He didn't even just say, just go. The next house, the same thing. So I just kept limping down that road with dogs barking. And all of a sudden, I saw two men walking towards me with cutlasses. In my mind, I'm like, maybe these are the people that will come and finish the work, And they came close to me and they're like, who are you? And I'm like, I've just been raped. Oh, they're like, oh, this must be the girl they've been looking for.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, my parents had been going, like crying all over the streets, looking for me, shouting my name. Okay. So there were security men.
Oh, in that
Yes.
estate or
so
something.
they led me to the security post and called my parents. My dad got there first. Immediately he saw me, just turned and held his chest like, this can't be my daughter.
You were 18?
Yes, I was 18. And then my mom came. She screamed and ran the other way, started rolling on the floor. Somebody had to tell her, won't you go and hold your daughter? And that was how she came. And she held me in all of that mess.
I'm so sorry.
I feel like that was the first form of comfort that I received. The security men were like, oh, we know this guy. Like, we saw him when he came. They were just talking amongst themselves.
Okay.
And from nowhere, I don't know where they went to, but they traced and brought him there. This guy had gotten home. This guy had gotten home, taking a shower, and was about to sleep. Was sleeping, And it's like, he doesn't know me from anywhere.
Wow. So your parents found they called the police, or it was the security estate people?
We carried him, after when they saw the marks on his body, they saw the bite mark, they knew.
Yeah.
So we went to the police station, they took me to the hospital. That same night.
Okay.
That same night. Though some people there were just trying to say, let's just beat him up, let it end there,
No.
We are like, no. So they had to take me to the hospital, and I remember the doctor saying, did he flog you? Because the way I looked was...
Okay, it's from... Okay, yeah,
exactly.
The struggles.
Yes. And so that was the story of the rape incident.
How did you cope moving forward in life?
I'm just thankful to be alive today.
Okay. We're thankful for you too. We're very much thankful for you too.
At that point, I'm like, why did you leave me here? You should have taken my life.
Okay.
But now, by God's grace, married with 2 beautiful children. Like, I'm really grateful. Apart from that, all the other things, but it didn't just happen like that. I always like to say healing is a journey.
100%.
100%. That was, like I said, the doctors were like, did he flog you? People will come to see other patients in the hospital and they will be crying when they see me, because at the point his hands, the mark of his hands were showing on my face.
Wow.
I could not move any part. I was just on that spot. But I would like to say my healing process started right from the hospital.
Okay.
Because I'd always had a relationship with God.
Okay.
And at that point, it felt like, God, where were you? And I'm like, I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah. It's how
But
you
one night, as I was
Yeah.
there in that hospital, I feel like God reached out to me. And that was the first time I would ever see a part of scripture that says that when you pass through the waters, I'll be with you.
It's there.
And through the fire, you will not be burnt.
Of course.
Because you are precious to me and I love you. My God, that broke me.
Okay.
I used to read the Bible. I'd never seen that before.
Okay.
And so the Spirit of God started to reach out to me. You know how, like, God says in his word, I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. So God just said, you know what? This will be a journey, but allow me walk this road with you. And that was the beginning, seriously. I had to deal with emotional trauma and all of that stuff. But I like to say that it's good to find your release. So I used to find my release in worship therapy, listening to music and stuff, and writing. I used to write when I feel so down. I'll just take. Some people just do mental dump, but what works for me, I just write to God. And then my husband was we grew up in the same church. But there was nothing like that. We went to the same uni.
Oh, wow.
So I think there was a time we were just gisting and I told him. Wow. And he's like, from that day in his mind, he's like, I'm going to marry this girl.
We love your husband.
I'll quickly say this. So much happened from that time. Maybe there's no time to really go into all that.
Of course.
But I met an elderly doctor who told me something, because I used to have dizzy spells. There was a time that my blood pressure actually, exactly. So they say, you need to see a doctor. And they took me to this hospital. His wife counseled me. So they're like, come to the hospital. And then he's checked the results. And he said, this thing is not okay for your age. What are you thinking? Of course, he knew my story, but it's like, what are you thinking about? Yes. And he says, you have too much time to think. From tomorrow, you start working here. Wow. It was still the strike. Yeah. So look at that. It's giving me something active to push my energy into. You understand? So there must be some way there has to be a way to kind of distract yourself or to channel that energy. Yeah. And it says tomorrow, start working here. Wow. And it says, don't waste your pain. It's too precious. Instead, turn it to gold. Amen. Yeah. And it said that we're not created to carry all of this stress. That I should just think of myself like, whenever these thoughts come, just, take it and just put it on God. He can bear it, Of course. And you just don't waste your pain. His name is Dr. Okoye.
Okay, nice.
Amazing man. Amazing. And from then on, that words always resounded in my heart. In my struggles, when the thoughts will come back, I will remind myself what God said to me in his word. He told me he loves me, and then he told me he has cleansed me. I will remind myself, and that helped me to see myself in a better way. Okay. You understand? Like you said, some people become wayward and stuff because you try to seek validation from every other source. Yeah. And it happened to me at some point, but by God's grace, I began to see myself through God's eyes and see again that I'm worthy of love and everything 100%. Beautiful. In fact, I was my husband's first girlfriend.
Oh, wow. So one very last question. How did you cope with the stigma of, I have been raped?
Truth is, society doesn't make it easy, because I remember we had to go to the police station at a point.
Police station?
Yes. And coming out of there were some guys playing football. It's like they had heard the story. Because somebody just said, girl talk about degree, Lele. Like that's the girl whose degree was taken. Okay. These are some of the things
you heard. Wow.
I heard. And we had to go to the hospital because when such a thing happens, when I need to go to court, they need evidence from a general hospital, a government hospital. And then we told this doctor, like, please, we need to see you. And it's like, for what? And I said I'd just been raped. Mm-hmm. And he goes, raped? Were you a virgin?
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
And that was a room, another doctor was there. Mm-hmm. My mom was even the one that said, yes, she is. Yeah. And then he said, let me check you. Lie down there, let me examine you. And then it was when he now checked me. the moment he said, "I may no longer found," I burst into tears. And he said it that he saw the bruises and everything.
Oh, wow.
And that was when he looked remorseful. Okay. You know, we have all these things in society, but like I said, most times we have to disown shame. Shame is not for me, you know. It wasn't my fault in any way, you know. So we have to learn. Anybody who has been through that, like, it is not your fault. It wasn't your fault. The shame doesn't belong to you. So give the shame back to his owner, you know.
Thank you. As Ms. Iyinoluwa has said, do not own pain. It's not yours. Rather, turn it into gold. This beautiful lady, with all the society's stigma and everything she has been through, she has managed to experience abundance of love for family and friends. So I know there are so many people out there who are voiceless, who feel like they don't have a voice, and you do have a voice. These things have to be stopped. She's a survivor. She's a strong, beautiful woman who has survived rape. So she has 2 books out. One is a guide to healing, the journey of healing.
Journey to Healing.
Journey to Healing.
And the other one is a practical guide for sexual assault survivors.
So these are out there. We'll put some numbers and emails, obviously, for people to try and purchase if they want to. Obviously, it's for you as well to help yourself in your healing process. So yes, another beautiful round of applause for Miss E. So we actually have a surprise guest today on the show. And I don't know, you guys, what music actually does to you, but music actually soothes my soul and is our very sought after Peter Okoye from
Wonderful story.
Thank you so much, Peter. Like, it's a huge honor for you to be here. We appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My dear, can I have this book first of all?
Thank you.
I heard your story from backstage, and all I can tell you is that everything has a healing process. And sometimes, most people are out there, they don't want to speak out. 100%. And sometimes the society, the authorities, even make it worse. Yeah. I've witnessed a situation where a girl called me and said she got raped. I said, by who? By her boyfriend. And I was like, okay, where are you now? Have you reported to authorities? He said, Peter, you won't believe where I am. I said, where? I've been at the police station, they're just making a fool out of me. When I got there, and I'm like, what happened? And the policeman just said she was raped by her boyfriend. I beg you.
Like it doesn't happen.
Like it doesn't
there's
happen.
Nothing like rape.
You know, and I felt really bad. I mean, I'm not related to this person. I sat back, I said, listen, I have a wife, I have a daughter.
Imagine if it was...
An aunt, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine it was someone
close to you.
Very, very close
very
to.
Close.
So, like I said, sometimes the society can even make it worse for you. And
they do.
Even when you're walking around like, oh, now that woman,
exactly.
that time, you know? But at the end of the day, it's you. Yes. You have to speak out. Because the truth is that if you don't, there's no point of you dying in silence.
Of course.
So Peter, you talk too much. I'll talk.
Me too. I talk too much.
We just learn to talk. Talk to people around you. Feel free. That's the best way.
Because it helps with your healing. It helps in the like it also helps other people who are not as strong as you are. Like speaking out.
It's like a heavy burden inside of you. The more you share, the more we take it. Listen, don't be scared. Sometimes it looks as if you're telling people your story.
It doesn't matter.
If you keep it yourself, you end up
You'll only die
yourself.
inside. Yeah. There's no healing. Thank you guys, and this is the end of today's episode, Healing with Maria. This is more or less a platform and a voice for the voiceless where we share our stories and we commend you to please open up, let us be your voice, where you can come on this platform, feel free and share your stories with us, be it mental health, drug abuse, sexual abuse. Come on this platform, share your stories. Thank you.